Welcome back. You are listening to the home of forbidden romances. Prepare yourself, because tonight's story will leave you breathless. The blade pressed against my throat was cold, but the eyes staring down at me were colder, pools of fractured obsidian that held no trace of the boy I once raised, only the ruthless emperor I had carved from his bones. Did you think you could run, teacher? His voice was a low rumble, vibrating through the steel of the sword and into my skin. You spent 10 years turning me into a monster. You don't get to look away when I finally show you my teeth. I swallowed, the sharp edge nicking my skin, a single bead of crimson rolling down my neck. This was the moment I had planned for, the grand finale of a script written in blood and betrayal. I had successfully corrupted the protagonist. I had completed the mission. But as Kalen lowered the sword and grabbed my jaw with a bruising grip, forcing me to look at the madness swirling in his gaze, I realized the narrative had spun out of my control. I was supposed to be the villain he executed to restore peace. I was not supposed to be the prize he kept. To understand how I ended up on my knees in the imperial throne room, stripped of my rank and dignity, you have to understand the mission. When I opened my eyes in the body of Julian Vane, the Grand Duke and royal tutor of the Solara Empire, the system was very clear. The novel, The Sun's Lament, was broken. The original protagonist, Prince Kalen, was too kind, too merciful. In the original timeline, his mercy led to a rebellion that slaughtered the royal family and plunged the continent into darkness. The system's directive was simple yet cruel. Asterisk corruption rate, 0%. Goal, 100%. Make the prince a tyrant to save the empire. Failure results in soul obliteration. Asterisk. I had no choice. For 10 years, I played the role of the devoted mentor. I taught Kalen history, strategy, and swordsmanship. I bandaged his knees when he fell and wiped his tears when his mother, the queen, passed away. I became his world, his father figure, his only confidant in a viper's nest of court politics. I made him love me so that when I finally stabbed him in the back, the wound would never heal. It happened on the night of the winter solstice ball. The plan was meticulous. I had allied myself with the insurgent faction, the Black Rose, supplying them with the palace blueprints. I framed Kalen for the attempted poisoning of the ailing king, his father. I remember standing on the balcony as the royal guards dragged Kalen away. He didn't fight them. He just looked at me. He looked at me with those wide, trusting emerald eyes, the color they used to be before the rot set in. Julian, he had whispered, his voice cracking. Tell them it's a mistake. I swirled the wine in my glass, looking down at him with a sneer I had practiced for hours in the mirror. A mistake, Your Highness? The only mistake was thinking you were fit to rule. Weakness disgusts me. And you are nothing but weakness. The sound of his heart breaking was almost audible. The system chimed in my ear, corruption rate, 60%. He was exiled to the northern wastes, a death sentence for a soft prince. I took my place as the regent, ruling with an iron fist, waiting for him to die or return. I expected him to return with an army of righteous paladins to slay the wicked traitor. I was wrong. 2 years later, Kalen returned not with paladins, but with the northern horde, barbarians he had subjugated through sheer brutality. He didn't come to liberate the capital, he came to conquer it. He burned the banners of the Black Rose. He executed the traitorous nobles. And he marched into the palace, his armor stained black with dried blood, his eyes no longer emerald green, but a dark, swirling abyss. Asterisk corruption rate, 100%. Mission complete. Asterisk. I sat on the throne, waiting for him. I had a dagger hidden in my sleeve, ready to provoke him one last time, to force him to kill me and complete his transformation into the solitary, untouchable emperor. But Kalen didn't kill me. The doors to the throne room exploded inward. My guards were dispatched in seconds, not by his soldiers, but by Kalen himself. He moved like a shadow, a blur of violence that defied human limitation. When he reached the dais, I stood up, feigning arrogance. So, the stray dog returns too. He didn't let me finish. His hand shot out, wrapping around my throat, slamming me back against the velvet cushions of the throne. The air left my lungs. No more speeches, Julian. He hissed, his face inches from mine. He smelled of ash, blood, and the cold ozone of the North. I have played your games. I have learned your lessons. You wanted a tyrant? You have one. He leaned in, his lips brushing against my ear, sending a shiver of terrifying electricity down my spine. But tyrants are possessive creatures. We don't discard what is ours. We keep it. That was 3 months ago. I was now a prisoner in the highest tower of the Onyx Palace. The room was luxurious, filled with silk and mahogany, a gilded cage for the emperor's most hated treasure. A heavy chain of enchanted silver connected my ankle to the bedpost, long enough to walk to the window, but short enough to remind me who held the key. The door clicked open. I didn't turn around. I stayed by the window, watching the snow fall on the capital. The city was safer now than it had ever been. Kalen's ruthlessness had purged the corruption, frightened the neighboring kingdoms into submission, and stabilized the economy. I had saved the world. So why did I feel like I was dying? You haven't touched your dinner. Kalen's voice was smooth, lacking the boyish warmth it once held. He walked into the room, the heavy tread of his boots muffled by the thick carpet. He was no longer wearing armor, but a loose black robe embroidered with silver dragons, his chest partially exposed. He looked older, harder. A scar ran through his left eyebrow, a souvenir from the north. I'm not hungry, Your Majesty, I replied, keeping my tone formal. I didn't ask if you were hungry. I stated a fact. He stopped behind me. I could feel his body heat radiating, a stark contrast to the chill from the window. Turn around. I hesitated. Julian. The warning in his tone was sharp. I turned. He studied me, his gaze tracing the hollows of my cheeks, the dark circles under my eyes. I knew I looked like a ghost. The guilt of what I had done to him, combined with the isolation, was eating me alive. You look pathetic, he sneered softly, reaching out to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear. His touch was gentle, sickeningly so, given the cruelty in his eyes. The great manipulator, reduced to starving himself like a petulant child. If I am so pathetic, kill me, I said, my voice weary. You hate me, Kalen. We both know it. Just end it. His hand froze on my cheek. Then, his fingers tightened, forcing my head up. Hate you. He let out a dark, humorless laugh. If only it were that simple. Hate would be easy. I could cut off your head and be done with it. He stepped closer, invading my space until my back hit the window ledge. Do you know what kept me alive in the north, Julian? When the frostbite turned my skin black. When the wolves tore at my flesh. It wasn't the desire for the throne. It wasn't even revenge. He grabbed my hand, pressing it against his chest, right over his heart. It beat with a heavy, powerful rhythm. It was you. The memory of your smile. The memory of your betrayal. They twisted together until I couldn't tell them apart. I wanted to tear you apart, and I wanted to fall at your feet and beg you to look at me again. Kalen, stop, I whispered, the cracks in my mask beginning to show. This wasn't part of the plan. He was supposed to loathe me purely. This obsession was dangerous. Why? He leaned down, his nose brushing against mine. Does it make you uncomfortable? To see your masterpiece. I did what I had to do, I said, reciting the line I had told myself 1,000 times. Liar. The word was a whip crack. Kalen pulled back, his expression hardening. I went through your study, Julian. After I took the city, I found the journals. My blood ran cold. The journals. I had burned most of them, but the system logs. I had written them down in a cipher to keep track of the corruption percentage. I couldn't read the strange language, Kalen continued, his eyes narrowing. But I found the letters. The ones you never sent. The ones addressed to me. He reached into his robe and pulled out a crumpled piece of parchment. My breath hitched. It was the letter I had written the night before the betrayal. The one where I apologized. The one where I confessed that I would rather die than hurt him, but the world required a monster to survive. You never meant to survive this, did you? Kalen's voice dropped to a whisper, the anger bleeding into something more complex, confusion, and a terrible, dawning grief. You orchestrated your own death. You wanted me to kill you. Give that to me. I snapped, reaching for the letter, but he caught my wrist easily. Why? He demanded, shaking me slightly. Why did you break me if you loved me? Why did you turn me into this? This thing, if you were just going to die? Because you were too soft. I yelled, the dam finally breaking. You were going to die, Kalen. The nobles were going to eat you alive. The North was going to burn the empire to ash. You needed to be strong. You needed to be ruthless. And I knew. I knew the only way to forge steel is through fire. Silence hung heavy in the room. The snow swirled outside, oblivious to the storm inside the tower. Kalen stared at me, his chest heaving. The darkness in his eyes swirled, shifting. The pure hatred was gone, replaced by a terrifying possessiveness. So you sacrificed yourself, he murmured. For me. For the Empire. Yes, I breathed, looking down. So finish it. Be the emperor I made you. Execute the traitor. Kalen dropped my wrist. He stepped back, looking at the letter, then at me. Slowly, deliberately, he crushed the parchment in his fist and let it drop to the floor. No. I looked up, startled. What? You wanted to make me a monster? Kalen stepped forward again, crowding me against the glass. He placed his hands on the ledge on either side of me, trapping me. Congratulations, teacher. You succeeded. But you forgot one thing about monsters. He leaned down, his lips hovering millimeters from mine. Monsters are greedy. He kissed me. It wasn't a kiss of romance. It was a claiming. It was violent, hungry, and desperate. He kissed me like he was trying to inhale my soul, punishing me and worshiping me all at once. I tried to push him away, but my body, treacherous and conditioned by years of hidden longing, betrayed me. I melted into him, my hands clutching the silk of his robe. When he finally pulled back, we were both gasping for air. His lips were swollen, his eyes dark with lust and a terrifying clarity. You don't get the release of death, Julian, he whispered against my mouth. You don't get to be the tragic martyr. You made this world. You made me. Now, you have to live in it. He grabbed my chin, forcing me to look at him. You are my prisoner. My advisor. My obsession. You will stand by my side while I rule this empire with the iron fist you gave me. And every night, you will belong to me in this tower, until you understand that you can never leave me again. Kalen, I choked out, this is madness. The people will never accept. I am the tyrant emperor, he roared, the sound echoing off the stone walls. I do not care what the people accept. I have the power to burn the world or save it, just as you planned. But the price, Julian, the price is you. He stepped back, adjusting his robe, the mask of the cold emperor sliding back into place. But his eyes remained fixed on me, burning with a dark, twisted devotion. Get dressed, he commanded, his voice returning to that icy calm. We have a court session. If you are going to manipulate the politics of my empire, you might as well do it from my side rather than from the shadows. He turned to leave, pausing at the door. And Julian? I looked up, trembling, my heart pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird. Don't try to hide your journals again. I enjoy reading about how much you love me. The door slammed shut, the lock clicking into place. I sank to the floor, the cold silver of the chain heavy against my ankle. I had completed the mission. I had saved the protagonist. I had saved the world. But as I touched my bruised lips, realizing that the villain I created had just decided to become my keeper, I knew the story was far from over. I had wanted to write a tragedy. Kalen had rewritten it into a dark romance. And God help me, I didn't know if I wanted to escape. And that is how the viper tamed the wolf, only to realize the wolf had swallowed him whole. If you enjoyed seeing Julian realize he's no longer the one in control, destroy that like button. And tell me in the comments, would you forgive a lover who destroyed your innocence to save your life? Or would you lock them up forever? I'll be reading your answers. Subscribe for the next chapter. Until then, prompt image. Prompt, masterpiece, best quality, high-res, 1.2. Korean manhwa style, semi-realistic, digital art, 2 men, BL, Yaoi, man 1. Prince Kalen, tall, muscular build, long black hair, piercing emerald eyes with dark bags, wearing loose black imperial robe with silver dragon embroidery, chest exposed, dominant expression, possessing, standing. Man 2. Julian, slender, elegant, messy brown hair, wearing white silk sleeping shirt, silver chain on ankle, looking up with mix of fear and longing. Kneeling on plush carpet. Background is a dark, luxurious Gothic tower bedroom. Large window with snow falling outside. Dim candlelight. Intense atmosphere. Cinematic lighting. Sharp focus. Intricate details.